Hello everyone, welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. My name is Dean the Artist. Let us continue, shall we? My alarm blares into my ears, only to be swiftly silenced by my fist. My body switches into auto mode, carrying my subconscious self out of bed and into my uniform. As always, my bottles of pills sit on my desk, patiently waiting for me to take them and pick out my daily dosage of medicine, 17 pills a day. Before I know it, I'm opening the door to Class 3-3, glad to see that I'm not the only one who seems to be a little hungover from the festival week. Every face in the classroom looks gaunt. With the festival now over, it's as if everyone's life dreams have been achieved. With nothing left to live for, the students have relied on instincts alone to guide them to class. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it. I slowly make my way to my seat, and it's only then I realize why the room is so peaceful. The seats beside mine are blissfully empty. The world's loudest interpreter for the deaf has yet to arrive. Just as I'm about to sit down, the door flies open, revealing a resplendent Misha, drills bobbing from the dynamic entrance, and arms stretched towards the sky. Yahoo! It's all over! It would appear that not everyone is affected by the post-festival depression. The rest of the class glare at her, obviously thinking the same thing I am. Misha, still frozen in the doorway with her arms still in the air, nervously looks around. It's obvious that she senses the foul mood, but can't work out exactly what to do. Suddenly, she jerks forward. Hey! As she stumbles into the classroom, she reveals Shizune, arms still extended from where she shoved Misha. Thanks for the entertainment, but shouldn't you two take your seats? Still slightly embarrassed, Misha takes a few seconds to realize she has to translate. Oh yeah, Chichan says he's not happy with you ditching us last week. We were really busy. Is that so? What about the stuff I already did for you two? She says that only counts for council members, since you decided she doesn't owe you anything. Misha leans closer and whispers conspiratorially into my ear. Actually, I think she's just a little sore that you didn't spend the day with her. She's really thankful for your work last week, though. Sensing that she is being talked about, Shizune lightly wraps her fingers on her desk until Misha turns around to face her. I can't understand any of the fast-paced signing that's going on, but from Shizune's slightly embarrassed expression and Misha's poorly contained laughter, I can guess. While this exchange is happening, the door opens once again, but this time at a much more reasonable pace. Hanako quietly enters the room and pulls the door closed behind her. Peering out from under her hair, she quickly scans the classroom. Our eyes meet, and she suddenly stiffens. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and then walks over to my desk. Good morning, Hazao. Morning, Hanako. You're a little late, aren't you? I was talking to Lily. About today. So you got her list then? We can leave straight after classes in that case. Sure. I'm looking forward to it. Hanako briefly flashes her embarrassed smile at me, then hurries off to her seat. During classes, it becomes apparent that it's not only the students that are a little despondent after the festival. Mutuo simply gives us a list of exercises from the textbook and then sits behind his desk. I totally forget that about the brief lunch period for a moment, which is the banality of the day. It's mind-numbing, and everyone seems surprised when the bells signal the end of the lessons. As I am packing up my bags, Shizune and Misha flank and entrap me. Sage Hichan, it's still not too late to join up. There's still a lot of post-festival paperwork for us to complete. Sorry, Misha, I've got plans. As if sensing the cue, Hanako appears behind me, holding a small bag, and trying to avoid eye contact with the outside world. Misha's eyes open wide. Then she bursts into laughter. Bah! You move fast, don't you, Hee-chan? We won't disturb your date any further. Behind the roaring Misha, I see Shizune taking far too little interest in the scene. I might be taking this the wrong way, but I think she's deliberately ignoring me. I feel a gentle tug on my shirt, and turn to see Hanako's eyes fixed firmly on the floor. Let's... Got ya. Shizune, Misha, I'll see you later. I'm still not interested in the council. Spoil sport. Misha and Shizune retreat into the hallway, happily signing to each other. Got all your stuff? Let's head off. Floods of students pour out of the school gates and onto the road into town. It's a little weird. It's almost a scene from any other high school, but the illusion fades because of the occasional wheelchair or missing limb. I mean, there's plenty of sped students and well, not plenty, but like sped students are common enough in just any school. Well, then again, I'm talking from an American experience, but there's plenty of sped students from any school. It's you're bound to see a wheelchair kid or at some point. It's not that bad. Oh no, this kid has a wheelchair, let's make fun of him. Nah. Yeah. One thing I do notice is that nobody is alone. And as Hanako and I pass through the gates, I notice that she closes the distance between us. Not enough to be considered close, but she certainly isn't at her usual just a little far position. I guess we're not familiar enough for her to get as close as she does with Lily. However, even though she has moved a little closer to me physically, mentally she seems to have traveled a mile, her hands clutched around the leather straps of her bag to the point of whitening her knuckles, her head down and her mouth pursed closed. She looks almost as she's being walked to the principal's office for the first time. I try to stifle a giggle at the thought, but it is futile. What's the matter? I guess there's no point in hiding it. Sorry. For a second there, it looked like you were getting in trouble. What do you mean? I think you need to relax a little. You're not going too far. We're not going too far. And it's only students around, right? Right? It bothers me a little to see Hanako so worked up. And you do this every week, don't you? Yes, with Lily. Of course. With Lily. I wonder, has you ever left the school without her? It doesn't seem like much at a first glance, but Hanako's dependence on Lily is absurdly heavy. Yeah. Also, I just realized that I misspelled Lily's name. It's supposed to be 2 L's. So by the time I upload this video, or I guess I could upload a batch of videos, I'll have to change my latest upload's title to 2 L's. Okay. Alright, if you're watching the previous episode, just know I uploaded that and only put 1 L and scheduled it for what was it, the 26th? And right now it's the 13th, so honestly, I am preparing. I am preparing, bruh. Although uploads will slow down probably mid-August. If she can't even handle leaving the school without her, how would she have managed to survive if the two had never met? Would she have found someone else to latch onto? And what drew her to Lily? Was there a lack of eyesight? Or was Lily just kind enough to lend a hand? I wonder if anyone would have fit the bill. Well, I'm here. Besides, we're not going far. It'll be over before you know it. Hanako's knuckles slowly regain their color as she tries to hide a small smile, but the effort of that seems to prevent further conversation. We travel, side by side, down the winding road towards the town. The crowd of students thins as we continue along the sidewalk. Faster students rush ahead, and and the less mobile ones fall behind, rarefying the crowd into nothingness. By the time we reach the convenience store, we are practically alone. Using me as a shield between herself and the attendant, Hanako moves through the narrow aisles, adding an assortment of items into her basket. Bread, milk, tea, thyme? What kind of convenience store sells herbs? What? What kind of convenience store sells herbs? Then again, nothing about this town seems normal, which may not be such a bad thing in retrospect. Everything is so different and uncomfortable, dwelling on such matters isn't really an option. When I think about it, it reminds me of Hanako. No matter how much you try, you can't escape her scars. They still interrupt my train of thought when I see them. As much as I don't want to admit it myself, I think I'm forcing myself to try to ignore them. Not that I am scar-free myself. The jagged line down my sternum will never completely fade away. I just have the luxury of being able to hide it easily. But in a way, both of our scars remind me that we're all in this place for a reason. Yeah, as it turns out, my phone decided to notify me on practically nothing. Hanako throws one last item into her basket, then sheepishly holds it out to me, along with a few banknotes. Could you please? It takes me a second to understand what she's trying to say. Oh, you want me to pay for this? She nods, but doesn't look up. I guess this task falls to Lily on the usual occasions. Sure, let me just grab a couple things. I hastily grab a few essential items for myself, and head for the counter with Hanako in close tow. The attendant gives me an indifferent nod as he scans the items. I suppose just ignoring us is one way to deal with the anomalies of Yamaku. They must get a lot of students here, being the closest store to the school. The staff must have their own way of dealing with us. Or maybe they don't. Maybe it's only me who thinks twice about my unique schoolmates. Well, the important thing is remember that they are all people. So, there's a... How do I say this? Okay. I'm autistic, so it could be different than everyone else, but, like, how I deal... Like, I was raised to be a gentleman, basically, and no, I'm not talking about, well, actually, yeah, I guess I can fit, but, like, I don't consider myself a gentleman, but, you know, I was raised to be chivalrous, I was raised to be kind to people and all these other things, so it might come more naturally to me, but I've been raised with, like, the core tenets of treat everyone how you want to be treated, right? And let's not let's not treat people differently based off their physical differences. And you know, that mostly applies to race and ethnicity, but I think it also can apply to disability. So so that's just how I was raised, so it doesn't really seem that odd to me, but I completely understand why someone would I completely understand why someone that is not used to disabled people would act like this. Sorry if I'm repeating something I already said, but like, you know, like Act 1 has out is I believe it's realistic and I believe it makes a lot of sense. It's just I've never really experienced that much, probably because I myself am autismo supreme, but yeah. So, yeah. And another thing about being a gentleman, why I said that, is yeah, there's certain things that I am fortunate, you know, because of my upbringing, I'm fortunate to have some personality traits, like, again, trying to treat people like people, but at the same time, some of that conditioning was bad for my own existence, because, basically, for a long time, especially in my younger years, my early teenage years. Um, so basically, what would happen is I would be a white knight, essentially. And I know, it's as bad as it sounds, right? And I don't want to be seen as a gentleman, but so basically, I was like, well, we need to like defend women and whatnot, and like, I was like, thank God, I I like deprogrammed myself and got out of that conditioning before I did anything actually too stupid. But what I realized is that women and girls, again, they're also like people, right? And that caused me to, like, aside from the be a little gentleman, treat people based off the content of their character. Um, it was always weird now that I think about it, where like we have to treat women and girls differently than like you would another man. And frankly, that's because I was, how do I say this? Some of the greatest role models in my life were my grandfathers. And basically they were raised in a very different time. As in they were raised where being a gentleman was seen as a good thing. Like you hold the doors for people, right? You act with honor, you act with some level of chivalry. And I realized, especially when I was growing up, that that's not going to get me anywhere if I act too much like that. So it's a little bit of deprogramming my condition and adapting it to a modern age, because I still believe in some level of honor and some level of being chivalrous and helpful to people, as in like holding doors open. But no, I'm not gonna simp again. That's basically it. Like I do not consider myself a gentleman. So that's a little bit of a context for what I'm probably gonna go on about during this route, because I probably mentioned it earlier, like earlier in the Let's Play, like one of the first few episodes. But you will see one of the core parts of Hanako's route is don't be too much of a white knight. And I believe that is helpful, especially for young men. So you know, anyways. So basically, I intend to get the bad ending first, or the good ending. Either or. I'll think about it. I will, but yeah. To tell the truth, I think Hanako's route is going to be pretty straightforward. Like, I don't think there's going to be too many twists and turns like Rin's route or anything like that. But yeah. So well, let's continue, shall we? Sorry on the little tangent. On our transaction, on our transaction complete, Hanako and I head out onto the street. The road is pretty much abandoned now. The students that were heading out have already left, and nobody has started returning just yet. And with only the school ahead on the road, there doesn't seem to be anyone else around. The emptiness certainly reflects on Hanako, her arms by her sides, each carrying a bag, her head no longer bowed and back to the upright position. It's almost as if she were enjoying this walk. So why are all these weird things? Mixed spice? Why would you need that in school? I sometimes like to make food. Well, yeah, so do I, but spices? It's a little more advanced, don't you think? Didn't the British Empire, like, start conquering places, both for the spices and to get away from their women, but mostly the spices. Okay, I'm done. That's a little more advanced, don't you think? Not really. Well, I think it's cool. You'll have to teach me one day. Sure. She doesn't seem all that sure, but pushing the point doesn't seem all that wise. At the very least, she seems a great deal happier than she did on the walk down here. That alone makes me a little happier. Outside the girls' dorm, Hanako and I sort out the grocery bags with our respective purchases. In comparison, my things look positively plain. I tell you, you're putting me to shame here. No, I'm not, I'm only joking. I have a stack of homework that I skipped last week, so I must leave now. Will you be alright getting back to your room? Yeah. Sure? Okay then. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye! Actually, interesting question about the groceries. Okay, so like... Okay, so this is a school for the disabled and the dorms. So like the dorms, unless they had like a collective kitchen or like multiple kitchens or like stoves in like the main areas and stuff, does each room have like a stove? Like do they have like microwave? What do they have? Because the way I see it is like looking at my own room and pretty much any other dorm room I've been in. It's basically bed, door, window, light, maybe some power, like power pl power outlet, I think, and vents. Uh, yeah, I'm not. Is it more like a hotel room then? A hotel room with a stove and like a fridge or something like. I'm thinking about this too hard. I'm sorry. We part ways and I return to my room. Piles of paper sit upon my desk, begging to be completed. With the with the entire ruckus of the last week, I barely had any time to catch up. I tried to keep up with my studies while I was in the hospital, but some of this stuff I've never seen before, even back in my old school. Totally unprepared, I pop the top of a can of drink and get to work. The days are really starting to heat up. Yeah, like it's currently like 90 something degrees outside, and I'm feeling it in here. This morning, I awoke covered in sweat. By the time the student body starts leaving their dorms for breakfast and morning duties, the sun has taken full effect. Oddly, that puts me in high spirits. It's not even 8, yet I feel that this day is going to be one of those pleasant, tranquil, warm ones. If I weren't at a school that considered every absence from class as a sign of a life-threatening situation, I'd consider skipping the whole day and just relaxing in the school gardens. Yes, today will be a genuinely lazy day. For a second, I stop in mid-stretch and consider the nurse's warning about exercise. Maybe I should have kept up with those morning jogs. Running with someone like Emmy might have been a little testing, but if I worked at my own pace... who am I kidding? I couldn't stick to something like that without some kind of motivation. It's not like I sit around all day. The walk to and from the convenience store counts as exercise, right? Especially the walk back up the hill. Yeah, it's no big deal. Compared to months lying in a hospital bed, I'm getting plenty of exercise. It seems that I'm not alone in my appreciation of the day. Nearly every member of the class is glancing through the window and into the tantalizing sky. Even the steadfast Shizune seems to lack her usual vigor for schoolwork. Misha, as brazen as ever, has even unbuttoned the top buttons of her shirt and is fanning herself with a notebook. I must have been staring, as she's now sticking her tongue out at me. However, she shows no signs of halting her efforts, nor is she trying to hide the fact. The lunch bells seem to catch everyone by surprise, and the class empties at a much slower pace than usual. The heat seems to be draining the need to rush from everyone. Well, almost everyone. Zao? Hey there, Hanako. What can I do for you today? Hanako already has a lunch bag in hand. I don't have to be a detective to work out where this is going. Would you like to have lunch with us again? I brought enough for everyone. Awesome. You don't have to be so stiff about it, though. Alright. I take it we're going to the tea room? Please? Lily said she'll meet us in there, so we should go ahead together. Ahead together. Sounds like a plan. This heat has already made me pretty hungry. Hanako breathes a sigh of relief, and I gather my things together. As usual, the aura of the tea room is refreshing, feeling isolated from the rest of the world. Then again, the usual din of the school seems to be a bit subdued, most likely from laziness prompted by heat exhaustion. Hanako slowly spreads her food on the table, intently focusing on every little movement, as if she's trying to keep her mind off of other thoughts. It's not much, but I can tell from her demeanor that she has prepared everything with utmost care. I guess Lily isn't here yet? Should we start without her? She'll be here soon. Hanako struggles with the lid of the container of rice. Here, let me help with that. I take the container from Hanako's hands and try to force open the lid. Try as I might, it seems wedged shut. Let me guess. Did you put this in while the rice was still hot? Yes, I was in a rush. I put the container on the table between us. I thought so. It looks like this is wedged shut. We'll need some hot water to get it open. But that could be a pain in here. We get water everywhere. Well, in that case, how about I contribute to today's meal? At the door, Lily smiles while holding up a bag stocked with various buns and bread rolls. I can't help but do the same. Since you two had a change of plans because of me, I thought I would bring a little something. Thanks, Lily. Here, let me get that for you. With a little guidance, Lily's bread assortment joins Hanako's riceless platter. I hastily made some tea to complete the picture. Well, I'm looking forward to this. As I take a bite, I notice Hanako trying her best to not look like she's looking at me. It's nothing special, but then again, I can't really complain. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to cooking for myself. Not bad, I guess. This is made with the stuff you bought yesterday? Yes? Hanako's eyes shout at me, begging for some kind of feedback. Well, it was clearly worth it. Thanks, Hanako. I wanted to show you this after yesterday. It's okay, I just got a little surprised at the stuff you were buying. Hanako's always liked to experiment when it comes to food. I think it's good, most of the time. While Lily's smile doesn't waver, the slight change in her tone tells me that things have not gone so well in the past. And it's not like Hanako has many people to sample her cooking. Hang on, was Lily waiting for me to go first? She didn't start eating until after I said it was alright. Her cheeky grin tells me that this was a deliberate action on her part. I'll have to try and work out how to get one over her in the future to make up for this. Well, that's good. And that's all that counts, right? Right. Lily, satisfied at not being the first to sample Hanako's creation, begins to consume the food in front of her. I find myself staring as I watch her chopsticks gently touch the plate, their tips delicately pointing and tracing to quickly ascertain the positions of the food as she dexterously picks it up. One might think she were a child playing with her food, if not for the situation, though she does it with such care and thoughtlessness that it's obvious this is simply how she eats this kind of meal. Not wanting to miss out, I start filling up myself. Hanako takes a different approach, waiting until Lily and I have our hands clear before quickly snatching up her share. Before long, the containers are empty, save for the still-shut rice container. Thank you, Hanako. That was filling. No, thank you for the bread. Yes, it would have been a disaster if not for that. You're both welcome. But now I must be getting back. It's far too early to be late after eating here. It's far too easy to be late after eating here. Yeah, I see what you mean. I think we'll just clean up here and then head off. Well then, good day. Lily leaves, her cane tapping away down the quiet hallway. Hanako and I quickly pack our things and stay seated, waiting for the bell. Together, we stare out the window and into the endless azure sky. If it weren't for the pealing of the bells, I would have sworn that time had stopped. The urge to skip class rises in my gut. I shoot a glance at Hanako, who shows no signs of moving either. Not just yet. The interval between the warning bells and the end of the lunch bells passes in the blink of an eye. We really should go. People will freak out and start a search party if we skip. Hanako sighs. You're right. Slowly, she rises to her feet, and I follow suit. Silently, we make our way up the old stairs to the 3rd floor and then to our classroom. At the door, I take point and open the door ahead of Hanako, bowing my head down in apology in advance. Sorry we're late, teacher. I'm greeted not by stern words, nor by an angered instruction to take my seat, but simply by the silence created by 15 or so students trying not to laugh. Mutuo, ever tardy, has yet to arrive. However, the fact that Hanako and I have arrived together is blatantly obvious. Yeah, I had one... Wait, were they also a science teacher? They were a biology teacher. You know what? Fuck it. I'll say his name. This is a very common name. I'm going to use his first name. So, Thomas. Mr. Thomas. So, Mr. Thomas was a biology teacher in my high school. And I had... Was it AP biology? I think it was. Because it was either that or biology honors. Either way. So basically, Mr. Thomas, he would, so there would be certain days where he would come in like 30, 40 minutes late to his own class. And yeah. So pretty much, of course, me being a grade A, teacher's pet, I prefer to think I'm not like that anymore, but a grade A teacher's pet, what I do is I would get there early as possible, even when I didn't really need to because he wasn't there. And basically I would just sit there and just wait. And like, it's funny looking back on it, but like sometimes I kind of get pissed at myself for like all the time wasted. But anyways, so Mr. Thomas, sometimes 30, 40, but he's usually like 5-10 minutes late to the class. So so yeah. To tell the truth, Mr. Thomas was actually like pretty cool. He was a pretty cool teacher. Apparently he was in a band as well while he was like teaching biology and stuff. And yeah, and there was, and I know for a fact one of the other science teachers also helped run student council, but I don't remember that guy's name. So yeah, it's it's just a random tidbit. I'm sorry. Make that about 14 students trying and 1 student failing. The lovers return. Yeah, thanks. Can you calm down now? I step through the door and realize that Hanako is firmly pressed against my back, hiding herself from the class. With my steps coming closer to my desk, she eventually breaks from me and stiffly walks to her own. Her efforts to mentally block everyone's presence from her mind are written fairly clearly on her face. Quickly checking the door for any signs of the teacher's arrival, I make a trip to Hanako's desk and whisper in her ear.
Don't worry about Misha. She's always like this. I enjoyed myself today. Don't sweat it, okay?
Hanako nods her head behind her folded arms, but still doesn't show her face. I yearn to stay and console her more, but Mutuo picks this exact moment to enter the class halfway through his lecture, as if he started it in the hallway. Which, of course, is directly proportional to the change, but inversely proportionally to the square of the distance. He's so engrossed in his speech that he doesn't even notice me sneaking back into my seat from Hanako's desk. While Mutuo's spiel rambles on, Misha leans closer to me.
The teacher might not have noticed your tardiness, but I did.
That much is obvious from the show you just put on.
I have been instructed to let you off the hook for today, but only on one condition.
Oh, and what would that be?
You have to help us this afternoon.
I crane my neck to look over Misha's shoulder. Shizune is conveniently not making eye contact with me.
Fine, just for today.
I've already told you I'm not joining the student council, remember?
Of course. Doing so could be considered.
She looks down at her notebook, obviously looking for a place in her script.
Under duress, and hence would be against regulations.
How very strange of you to be considerate of the regulations now.
Things should be done by the book. Just that the book hasn't been written for every situation, so there are times where it can be ignored.
And yet you two wonder why no one else wants to be in the student council. After poking her tongue out at me, Misha returns to her workbook while we battle our way through the latter half of the school day. Before I can even stand up, Misha and Shizune have placed their hands on both of my shoulders.
Hey, I said I'd help out. Damn. This is just insurance, Hizao. Insurance. Hizao?
Hanako timidly tries to leave the room by circling around us, and I suddenly realize this may be my one chance to escape. Oh hey Hanako, what's up?
You're not stealing my slave, you bitch.
No, Shizune would never. Never.
Hey, what makes you think you got time to chat?
Oh, relax, it won't take long. Sorry, Hanako, you were saying?
I was going to the library and I thought...
Hanako thumbs dance around each other, and her eyes flit around the room, looking anywhere but us.
Sorry, Hanako, but Hizao has to come with us. He's got work to do. Oh, but you can help too if you'd like. So what about it, Hizao?
Can create a new save state. There we go. Okay. What do you think, Hanako? Or I've done enough work with the council already? Yeah, let's blow them off. Hey Shizune, I know I said it'd help, but I forgot I'd actually made plans. Besides, I helped more than my fair share last week, didn't I? I promise I'll make it up to you some other time. Shizune and Misha release their grip on me and have a long, deep, and silent conversation. Well, you have a point there. To be honest, we were only going to spend the rest of the budget on cakes. So if you're not there, it works out better. More cake for us. Wahahaha. Shizune about faces and marches out the door, and Misha skips out after her. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Last week, those two were like bloodhounds or prison guards. Or maybe prison guards bred from bloodhounds. What type of, like, genetic splicing? I can't believe I just thought that, let alone saying it out loud. I think I need to move away from Kenji. Never mind. Anyway, we should go to the library. Actually, hold on. Okay, so. That's right. Hisao's interactions with Kenji have been small conversations. However, in the Lily and Hanako routes, uh, he would have to interact with Kenji more because of the going to. Okay, that. Yeah, because in Act 1, Hisao had to go to Lily's classroom and help Kenji with a project, and that could have taken several more hours. So he's probably hanging out with Kenji more. And that's horrifying.
Sure.
Hanako follows me through the still crowded halls to the library, using me as a shield. As soon as we are through the door, Hanako bolts for the counter, where Yuko is stacking books. Before I catch up, Hanako has whispered something to her.
You'd find that in the non-fiction, but I don't know where exactly. If you want, I could look it up. Never mind.
Hey Yuko, what's all this about?
Oh, Hisao, Hanako was just looking for a book on... nothing?
A book on nothing in the non-fiction section?
I was just...
I shoot a glance at Yuko. She looks like she's about to burst from the pressure of keeping Hanako's request secret. Yuko, what did...
Chess! She's looking for a chess book.
I make a mental note to never trust Yuko with any important information.
Yuko? I'm sorry, Hanako, it just slipped out.
Well, it's not a secret. It's not a secret anymore. Come on, I'll give you a hand. I should really brush up on my skills too.
Okay.
Yuko disappears behind the counter in shame as Hanako and I wander into the depths of the non-fiction section. I know there's supposed to be a system for categorizing these books, but I don't see how anyone can decipher it without spending half of their life researching it. That's probably why all the librarians I know are neurotic. Towards the end of the aisle, between a book on card tricks and some book on kids games, stands a single book bearing the title Chess Tactics for Champions. Before I can reach for it, Hanako has the book in her hands, clutching it to her chest. Well, I guess that's yours then. Mind if I borrow it when you're finished?
Sure. I just haven't really played anyone but Lily before, so I thought...
Damn. It's not like I was trying to beat Hanako deliberately or anything, but she seems to have taken it to heart. Then again, at least this means she wants to play with me again. That's a plus, right? Well, it's not like I'm a master or anything. I just played a bit before. It occurs to me that I hadn't told Hanako about my condition. I falter for a second, deciding to recover my tracks, that this is a conversation for another day. Before I came here.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I was just remembering something. When I think about it, I shouldn't be afraid to tell Hanako about my condition and my time in the hospital. Judging by her scars, she probably spent a fair amount of time in a hospital bed. Actually, thinking on it now, in Shizune's route, did Hisao ever tell her about the arrhythmia? I don't remember that being a thing. Anyways. Oh well. Sorry, I just like thought about the route I just finished. So, yeah. But for some reason, I can't bring it up. At least not today, and not on short notice. Eager to break off the conversation, I grab a random book from the shelf. It's some book on the fastest roller coasters. Published in 1982? Well, not very up to date, but it should be at least interesting. Yeah, geez, that's 44 years ago? Alright. Yeah. Well, we both got books now. Should we go sit down? Hanako seems to accept my bluff, and we head to the reading nook in the back of the library. Neither of us says a word. We simply open our books and start reading. I try to read my book, but it would seem that in 1982, roller coasters weren't nearly as large as the one built in the decade since. Most of the ones listed are made of wood. Something about that doesn't seem safe to me. If I'm going to ride on something potentially dangerous, I want it to be made out of steel, or some kind of space age alloy that has big words like titanium or ruthenium. I quickly lose interest, and my eyes wander across the reading area to rest on Hanako. Hanako seems absorbed in her book, flicking back and forth through the pages as if confirming what she just read. I wonder if that's actually effective, or if she's just overloading herself. She unconsciously brushes her hair from her face, temporarily revealing her scar tissue. I'm still not sure about the protocol here. Is it right to ask her about her scars, or her past? How long was she in the hospital? Does she still visit the doctor? All these seem like questions that you'd ask someone who just transferred to your school, translated into the local language. But to date, no one has directly asked me any of them. Well, except Rin. But I don't think I should use her as a guide to proper social behavior. For the time being, I'll just keep my mouth shut. If someone wants to know something, then they'll tell you. Trying to force the issue might drive Hanako back into herself. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to close the library now. Already? I checked my watch. Somehow, I was as lost in thought. Nearly 2 hours have passed. Do you want to check out those books? I can do it on the way out. Please? I'm done. I'll drop this one back on the way through. It wasn't as interesting as I first thought. Hanako marks her place with a slip of paper and stands up. The girls head to the counter, and I return my book to what I think is the right shelf. Yuko, not Hanako, Yuko scans Hanako's book with practiced precision, yet still managed to fumble it. Oh, there we go. Third time lucky. Since this is a non-fiction book, you can only have it for a week. Wait. Since this is a non-fiction book, you can only have it for a week. Do libraries have different, like, time limits based on genre? If they do, I was unaware that was a thing. Like, it makes sense for, like, certain, like, for certain books that are very, wanted to have time limits, right? Like, if multiple people are asking for the same book, then, like, let's say I had the entirety of the Lord of the Rings, and someone is like in my library, let's say I had I had the Silmarillion, I had Lord of the Rings, I had the Hobbit, I had all of this stuff, and it kept getting, it kept getting checked out, right? And there's like this long line. I would put time limits on that, but like just a time limit just based on, like, since this is a non-fiction book, you can only have it for a week. That implies that since it's non-fiction, why is it different than any of the other books? Am I missing something? That's okay. Yuko shuts down the library's computer and herds us out the door. Well, actually, I guess that can make sense for a school, because a non-fiction book would allow, because, yeah, students are supposed to be learning, so... okay, that makes more sense. Alright. There I go. I just solved my own problem. Yeah. And I know you can't have certain books forever. You have to, like, turn them... you have to bring them back eventually. But, I was overthinking it. I didn't think it was this late already. But you're the one who told us you had to close. Yes, but I know, but that was before I looked at the time. I'll see you later. Yuko bolts down the hall, her handbag trailing behind her like an awkward streamer. I guess all librarians really are neurotic. Huh? Never mind. I was just thinking that I've never met a librarian that can organize their time, no matter how good they are with their books. You see, I've never had a very good, how do I say this? Most of my books are digital. So, being a Gen Zer. But, most of my books are digital. So, rarely I've been to a library. Like, I've not really been... Yeah, like, I would barely talk to a librarian. Like, I'm not exactly sure if that's even correct. Like, whatever. Oh, I know what you mean. Hanako smiles in amusement. It wasn't meant to be a joke, but I must have reminded her of some other librarian or something. I have to get back. Yeah, me too. I didn't realize it was this late. Thank you for letting me hang out with you. No problem. I'm going to my dormitory room now anyway, so do you mind if I tag along? Okay. Hanako sets off ahead of me, and I need to jog a little to reach her side. We walk through the gardens, eventually arriving in front of the dorm buildings. Man, you walk pretty fast. I used to play in a soccer club and you managed to outpace me. I kind of regret saying that. It has less to do with her pace than the fact that my condition has significantly worsened my fitness. Hanako's reaction is odd. I expected an awkward attempt to downplay her walking speed, but she just blushes while looking at her feet and smiling. Silence hangs in the air between us. That happens often around Hanako, but feels slightly different than usual this time. After a few seconds, I try to break the silence. Here you go. See you in class tomorrow? Sure. Hanako waves a short goodbye before pushing her way through the dorm's doors. I stand and look at them for a while before making my way to my own dormitory room. Blah. Now, what on earth am I going to title this episode? Because I feel like very little happened. I'm going to save here. So, I think I'm going to title it Don't Be a Gentleman or something. But, let me look at the scenes real quick. Hanako. So, okay, so that. Okay, so Hanako. Okay, so I think Rise and Shine was the one I skipped out on. So yeah, convenience store was this episode. So, huh? Oh well. Anyways, I'll figure out how to title this episode later. Have a nice day. It's been Dean the Autist. Thank you for watching.